Happy Monday, Seattle hockey fans. Erica Lindsay Ayala, your host of Locked on Kraken. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about playoffs in 3 different leagues. And apparently also I have to talk about water bottles and racism. What the heck? That and more coming up on this episode of Locked on Kraken.
You are Locked on Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hello, happy Monday. Thank you for making Locked on Kraken your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered this season with more props, more odds, and more lines than ever before. Bet Online is where the game starts. Where to even start with this podcast? When I tell you I am ridiculously exhausted by some of the hockey news, oh boy. The best I can say right now is I'm so grateful that tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, I will be one of the people hosting a watch party where we're going to talk, can the Tampa Bay Lightning close out the Battle of Florida, or will the Panthers find a way to fix their power play and get back into the game? That's happening tonight. 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's 4 p.m. Pacific. You can watch it directly on blackrosiemedia.com. There will be a link to the YouTube channel. I'll also leave everything in the show notes. I'm just going to start with the positive. I'm going to start with what I'm excited about because the rest of it is kind of trash, basura, garbage. We're talking about a grown man getting upset about contact. I get that. You get railed and it looks like your series is over. Of course, we're talking about Kadri and Binghamton. They had a collision in the game against Colorado Avalanche Blues. Goaltender Binghamton, they're saying now his series is over due to that injury. But then after that, he takes his stick, swings it in the direction of Kadri. Kadri's doing a post-game interview. I'll leave a link so you can see it for Bleacher Report Open Ice. And apparently Binghamton, why he was even in that vicinity, who the heck knows, throws a water bottle at Kadri. And you know what? That is ridiculous in and of itself. But now there are fans making death threats against Kadri. And this is all in the backdrop of Kadri being a player of color in the National Hockey League and Binghamton having some terrible, absolutely trash record when it comes to being bigoted and ignorant on social media. And I'm just not here for it. I had to go off in one of our group chats because someone posted something and it was like, oh, come on, Colorado fans, like, relax. It's all fun and games. I'm sorry. We live in a country, we live in a world where people, for their religious beliefs, for who they love, whether that is sexual orientation or race related, for their gender, for so many things, have been killed, beaten, assaulted, harassed. And I'm sorry, as a person who I'm not sorry, as a matter of fact, as a person who falls into multiple of those categories that historically over the history of human beings have been marginalized, racialized, and targeted because essentially a white male dominated society can't control themselves. I'm not here for any conversation where we are saying that getting a little bit worried about death threats is weak. What are we talking about? We just had multiple shootings, a lot of them race that were targeted communities, Black communities, and racially motivated by racism. And all of a sudden in hockey, we don't have to take death threats seriously? Is that what Binghamton meant to happen with his little tirade? I would hope the answer is no. I thought he was out of pocket. If you look at the replay, and I'll leave a link for you, Kadri did everything that he could to stop. It's a collision in close proximity to the goaltender. Does it suck that the goalie gets hurt and can't play the rest of the series? Absolutely. And we could have had a very different conversation if so many people with their, eggheads on social media hadn't completely just crapped the bed with bad takes. Absolutely crapped the bed with bad takes. And this is exactly why people like myself, traditionally speaking, find it difficult to be not just in hockey spaces, but in spaces where we perpetuate white supremacy, where we perpetuate the patriarchy. And then when people like myself, whether I'm the one being targeted or not, call it out, then all of a sudden I'm weak, I'm complaining, I'm over exaggerating. Don't gaslight us. Stop it. Anytime an adult male gets injured in a hockey game, which is a physical game, and the result is that there are death threats, I'm not the one, newsflash, overreacting. The people with the death threats, putting out actual death threats over a hockey game, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? The Seattle Kraken are not even in the playoffs. I can't believe that I am here on a Monday getting this excitable about hockey because of all of the connotations that now follow that are serious. What are we doing? This is not a joking, laughing matter. Once you brought in death threats, this is absolutely serious. And if I could put that to the side just for a moment, Binghamton, relax. Freaking relax, bro. I get it, you're upset. But now you obviously could skate well enough, and now you want to swing a stick at someone? You want to throw a water bottle at someone? And we have a history of you being, again, terribly bigoted? No. So I would really love to see what the Hockey is for Everyone campaign, what the End Racism campaign, what the Hockey Diversity Alliance campaign. And I know that Hakeem Aliu has spoken apparently to Kadri and has talked to him. I've seen reports that say that they have had conversations, and he says there is concern. So I see that the Hockey Diversity Alliance has been in communication, and I love that fellowship. I love that brotherhood that exists. But apparently the NHL, I don't think that there should be any repercussions for the collision. I am not... I guess I'll say it this way. I would be totally fine if Binghamton is held responsible for swinging up a stick at someone outside of first of all, we don't swing sticks at people. Just don't do that. Can't do it on the run of play. You shouldn't do it, period. And then apparently throwing a water bottle, reports from ESPN say that yes, they were able to confirm both that it was Binghamton that threw the water bottle, and also confirming that the NHL will not pursue any discipline. Maybe you should. Because now you have an NHL player that's getting death threats. What are you going to do about that? We had to come in hot here, folks. Not what I thought I was going to be talking about on a Monday. I was going to record last night. I was going to get ready for what I think is going to be an amazing watch party. But this is the big news, and I wanted to make sure you know how I felt about it. I mean, I don't have any authority over the greater Seattle Kraken, fan base, but I can tell you this: as long as I'm here hosting the Locked On Kraken show, and as long as I'm watching hockey and Seattle hockey, I will always call this trash, this absolute trash out that is coming from the greater hockey community, death threats to someone playing in the playoffs, and further, those people saying that, oh, you're being soft for taking death threats seriously. You know what? Good for you. Good for you that you live in a world where someone can make a death threat and you think it's a dang joke. Good for you. Must be nice. I don't live in that world. I live in a world where people that look like me, who identify me, are shot dead on the street and no repercussions. Shot dead, and folks that shoot them can do it with impunity. That's the world I live in. So since we're here, let's talk about it. I'm so worked up. I don't even know how I'm going to get through the rest of this show. Unbelievable. But I will do my best because that's what I have to do, right? Grit and bear it, take it on the chin, move on. Hear people try to gaslight me that this isn't a freaking problem. I'm just so excited that I have a place where I know I can talk hockey and not have to release myself from these feelings and emotions that I have just to make someone else out there comfortable. No, let's, as Black Girl Hockey Club says, get uncomfortable, because you're damn sure it's uncomfortable for Kadri right now, getting death threats from the St. Louis Blues fan base. You best believe that's uncomfortable and then some. I mean, coming up next on the show, we're going to talk about some other stuff, and hopefully I won't go on a rant, or maybe I will. Who knows? I'm still going to give you my wellness tip, but I had to unleash a little bit here because it's unbelievable. But coming up next, we're going to talk about the Seattle Thunderbirds. We're also going to talk about the Charlotte Checkers and how they did. And then I'll give you the scores. Now that I've gone on my rant, I'll give you the NHL Stanley Cup playoff scores, where everything sits. And again, get you ready for hopefully what will be the balm as it is for me, which is a conversation where I know I can have a real conversation about what's going on and find a way to also hopefully enjoy some hockey tonight. That's what's coming up on Locked On Kraken. I want to take you over, though, to Athletic Greens. I've talked to you before on the show about my morning routine. And even when I'm on the go, I can have my Athletic Greens. And that is because it's a product that you can literally use every day. It's super simple. 1 scoop in your water, shake it up, and you're good to go. It's for those who want to focus on better gut health, but maybe you don't necessarily have time, but you want better gut health, you want better energy, you want to optimize your immune system, then this is for you. It's recommended by professional athletes. It's trusted by leading health experts, and it's affordable. You can do something similar to Athletic Greens, and you can have a supplement routine that will cost you $100 a day. $100 a day. Athletic Greens is going to make everything easy, and they're going to throw in a 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase of Athletic Greens. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to get your morning routine right and to be able to have a small micro habit with big benefits. Here we go. Another episode of Locked On Kraken. As always, I want to thank you for making Locked On Kraken your first listen of the day. Next, you should check out Locked On Now. That is where you can find nightly recaps of NHL games with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And coming up in just a bit, we're going to hear from some of those experts, and you'll see little clips of what you can see from Locked On Now. But right now, I am going to talk about some local hockey. First, let's talk about the Thunderbirds. I mentioned on Friday's episode that by the time we got back on Monday, we would have 2 games in the WHL playoffs, and it was split. So in the WHL playoffs, you have on Sunday, it was Seattle dropped that game 4-1 to Kamloops. But 5-2 on Friday. On Sunday, it was the Thunderbirds that defeat the Kamloops Blazers 4-1. So that's what we had in the WHL. In the AHL playoffs, again, our co-parenting with the Florida Panthers, who we'll talk about a little bit later on the show. It's kind of looking like a Florida Panthers score line, if we're being honest. Was that harsh? Did I mean it? Absolutely. All right, 6-0. Our boy Joey Decord, he was in net for 3 of the 6 goals, including there was a penalty shot. Joey Decord played 43 minutes before Chris Gibson came in relief in the 3rd period. We saw that Joel Hofer for the Springfield Thunderbirds, he made 35 saves. So it wasn't that the Checkers weren't getting shots up. They definitely were. Unfortunately, they were just, in favor of the Charlotte Checkers. I want to show you here, if I can, I want to show you the shot charts because I think that they were illuminating for sure. And it's just one of those games, these things kind of happen from time to time. Let me see. I'm having a little bit of trouble pulling it up here. But if we look at the shot charts. All right, here we go. I'm going to pull up the shot chart for you. And you see that, listen, the Checkers were doing what they could, but the Thunderbirds just had a better shot here. We can see the blue is Springfield, the Charlotte Checkers over here in the, I guess that's an orange color. Also very interesting. These 2 teams have similar colors, so I found that a little bit confusing. So these are the shots overall, but if I toggle this and you can see the goals. So now we've got the goals. I'm going to turn the shots off. Obviously, no goals over here. No goals for you. But look at this. Look at these goals. You've got 2 from outside the hash. And then I'm assuming that this is, I don't know. I don't know what this is, actually. That might be the penalty shot. Let's assume that's the penalty shot. But everything else, 3 of those goals below the hash marks. Honestly, why is this goal here? Oh yeah, Sam Ennis. Yep, that's where they put the penalty shot. Okay, but look at these goals. You're right in the home run area, the sweet spot. Not too much below the hash. But again, if I toggle back to shots, turn off the goals, look at kind of the split here. Just so many shots. You see that for a little bit. The Checkers were able to keep them out. Get rid of that. But, I don't know what the heck. How are these shots? Where are these shots coming from? And the Checkers, it's not like they weren't getting below the hash. They just weren't getting past. Again, Hofer, 35 saves. So that's something where we're going to have to see the Checkers bounce back. Deal. But that's how it goes. Let's hear what the coach Kinnear had to say after the game. We lost 6-0 and didn't play the right way. You give full marks to Springfield because I thought they played a great game. They were physical. I thought they bumped the goalie, and I thought they played a really good home game. I'd like to play how we know we can, right? Obviously, Charlotte got a bye into the playoffs. We know that they can play well, so now they just got to do it. I guess I can close this out here for you. He goes on to say, obviously, we want to play how we can play. It gets harder to win as you move forward, and we learned that lesson tonight. That's important. It's all about mentality. No easy victories from here on out. Some notes that we got after the game. The Checkers have yet to win in Springfield this season. So they're going to be playing in Springfield. They're on the road for the first two, as we've talked about. The last time the Checkers lost a playoff game by 6 or more goals was an 8-1 loss to Oklahoma City, May 3rd, 2013. Wow, almost 10 years ago. This was only the second penalty shot in Checkers playoff history. The other one came in 2019 Eastern Conference final game against Toronto, resulted in a goal against. All right, so there's some work to do. Charlotte has got some work to do. We know that the next game is coming up here. That's going to be on Wednesday, 7:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I actually was in Springfield the other day. I'm in Florida right now, but I was in Springfield the other day, and I don't know. Maybe I'll try to make my way up there again, depending on how the series goes. It'd be nice to check up on the guys. Anyway, we hope to have some more for you on this. But coming up next, we're going to go back to the National Hockey League. I got really fired up because we had some tomfoolery happening, and more so from the fan base. Hockey is for everyone until apparently we think death threats are a freaking joke. And I really don't understand it. I try to be fun. I have such a great time doing this podcast, but you got to call a spade, and I don't tolerate certain things. And, laughing at death threats or thinking people are weak because they are rightfully afraid of death threats. That's kind of where I draw the line, given the history of, like I said, racism, white supremacy, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, all of the isms, basically. I'm not here for that. And, if you want to have a conversation with me about that, if you don't understand my take, all of my contact information is below. I'm more than happy to talk about it. But I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be a pretty tough boulder to move. I just really don't see any reason or rationale for asking people to not take death threats seriously. Coming up next, though, like I said, there was more than the Kadri Binnington thing that happened. We've got some series updates. I told you that I'm going to be, along with my company, Black Rosie Media, hosting a watch party with Black Girl Hockey Club, The Balm, being in a space where I know, again, I can have these conversations and not feel judged and not be told it's time to move on or things are too serious. I don't know that it gets any more serious than death threats, folks. I'm going to take a breath, take a breather, right? These are some of the mental health and wellness tips I pass along. So I'm going to practice those. But before we do that and go to the NHL, I told you BetOnline is our title sponsor for today's show, and they continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. You can find all the latest news and sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, obviously the Stanley Cup playoffs. I have some odds. We'll go over them tomorrow, because BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, live betting, playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today. You can also use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline is where the game starts. Where we're going to end our show is, again, talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs. Let me take you to the playoff hub over at NHL.com. And we can talk about what's coming up, what's on deck, and all that jazzity jazz. All right, let's take a look at the bracket. Remember how we got here. Colorado, they were able to sweep Nashville. That's how they got there. St. Louis beat the Minnesota Wild. They won that little friendly wager we had. Calgary beat Dallas. Edmonton, Los Angeles. 5 of the 8 games, this is only one side of the bracket, but 5 of these 8 series went into game 7s, including the Rangers overcoming the Penguins and Carolina beating out the Bruins. Tampa Bay Lightning had to go 7 rounds the Toronto Maple Leafs, but it was Tampa Bay and not the Maple Leafs that advanced, and the Capitals fall to the Florida Panthers. But now it's the Panthers that are on the ropes. Can they do something tonight? That's the game that I will be watching. So I'm going to leave it there. We'll have more up for you. Carolina leads their series against the Rangers 2-1. We'll hear a little bit more about that. Edmonton leads Calgary. What? And we talked about this. Colorado leads St. Louis. And now, of course, they are in a position where it's sounding like they will not have Binghamton for the rest of this series. Let's take you to the schedule. All right. You already know we've got Tampa and Florida. It's always so weird to say that. We've got the Panthers and the Lightning tonight. Can Lightning strike 3 times? Well, if they get a win tonight, they can get some rest as they move on. If not, they've got to keep going head-to-head with the Panthers. At least they don't have to leave the state. The Colorado Avalanche and the St. Louis Blues play tonight. I really hope, again, that we see some resolution more so to what Kadri is having to face off of the ice. I don't know what's going to happen as far as St. Louis being enforcers. We heard some of the folks and the head coach after saying, well, Kadri has a history of this. I mean, if we're pulling up history, Binghamton has his own history, but I digress. I feel like I talked about that enough on the show, so we move on. Both of those games are on TNT. I, again, am just really excited that I'll have the watch party, so I'll be watching the game, but listening to my fellow Black Girl Hockey Club fans. And if you are not a Black woman, but you love hockey, you love inclusive hockey, then we welcome you to join us for our live watch party. That's happening tonight for that first game. That's on TNT. I will leave the link in the show notes for you. Tomorrow, we'll obviously talk about the results of today, but we're also going to get you ready for Carolina and the Rangers, as well as Calgary and Edmonton, and we'll see where we go from there. We know we're going to have a Wednesday night game, St. Louis and Colorado. Will we have the Battle of Florida on Wednesday as well? Well, you got to come back to Locked On Kraken tomorrow, and we'll talk about it. You can also watch, of course, Locked On Now if you want to know right after the games. But wellness tip of the day. You have to feel your emotions. I wanted to come on this show, and I try to come on the show. That's part of why I started doing the wellness tips of the day, because I want to be positive. I want to be a positive person in the hockey space. And we can be positive, and sometimes being positive is not, or I would say being positive is not the same as being ignorant, as overlooking things. We as a society, we as humans, we have been socially conditioned to overlook discrimination if it doesn't necessarily directly affect us. But what we know about the human condition is everything that I do affects you and vice versa. Will it affect you immediately? Maybe, maybe not. But over time, any harm that I put out and that I spew into the world toward myself, towards somebody else, is going to impact us all. We have to know that. Not only that, but when you hold on to anger, when you hold on to sadness, they become and they can manifest into toxicity in your own body. So we'd say take deep breaths, but sometimes you want to breathe in that positivity, hold it, feel it, own it, and then breathe out all that toxic negative energy. But we have to identify it. We have to find it within ourselves and then own it long enough to fully release it. But if we don't own it, if we don't sit in that discomfort, then we can't ever fully be free of the harm, of the trauma. So I feel like those are a bunch of tips wrapped in, but breathe out that negativity. I'm not telling you to overlook it. I'm not telling you to, grin and bear it for somebody else's sake. No, feel it, own it. And when you're ready, let it go, because it's for your best interest and it's for the best interest of us all. Hold fast to truth and justice. Stay true to inclusivity. And I'll see you, if not tonight, for the watch party. I'll see you tomorrow. All right? Please be well, be good to yourselves and each other.